So for option C, if you've been going through the videos trying to pick one, option A is pretty intense research, and option B is kind of like a mini version. But option C is a video version, possibly of B. Okay, so this one again is going to follow the rubrics of the discussion, as in the sense that we're looking for very specific things and you're elaborating on them. For this one right here, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need this poem, this lecture, and this is an example video. So for this one, you're basically going to discuss what life was like for your family as they came over here. What were some of the challenges, occupations, attitudes, competing resources? What was life like when they landed here? Now, this is going to vary depending on, first of all, are you native born? When did your family arrive here? As if, like I said, my case, my family, Scottish English, both lines came over here in the late 1600s. So I would have to talk about what those challenges were, what their occupation. Were they welcoming to the Scottish people? No. And what resources were they competing for? Like I've said before, a couple other videos, as they're coming through the North during the Reconstruction era, you've got the Scottish, the Irish, the English, and you've got a huge great migration out of the South as we leave the Civil War behind and everyone's moving. So there was a lot of competing resources. So you would talk about that. So for XX, I'm talking about your culture, whether it is, Scottish, English, is it Ethiopian, is it Lithuanian, is it Cuban, is it Puerto Rican? What is your guys' community, and what was their story when they got here? And you're going to talk about that. And maybe I would love if you could provide a clip that showcases this. So for example, while I put this here because this is them arriving at Ellis Island. Now, this is going to be about 200 years after the Scottish got here. However, when they're experiencing some of the same challenges, though, they also came over on a boat, and they were also very intimidated, and the process was just horrifying. So in this clip, what I have here, it shows that type of intimidation and that type of trepidation and that type of just loneliness that it was like for someone to come over here. So that would be like the closest clip I could find possibly to show what it would be like coming off of the eastern seaboard over on that. So I want you to look at the lecture. Now the lecture has a video in here that you could watch that kind of breaks down a lot of these events right here, especially if you don't have your textbook. It works as a great chapter for us, and you could just kind of skim through this and see what it's talking about here. It also will ask you to read this poem. This is a great poem that if I could never find a clip, this would be a great poem to use, especially when they're talking about the mighty woman with the torch. Now, during this time period of the late 1800s, you have a lot of people coming on the eastern seaboard side, and they're seeing the Statue of Liberty, and it must have just been mind-blowing to see it in the fog come light. I found, hopefully YouTube doesn't nail me here, but I just typed in Statue of Liberty at night for the boat view. Can you just imagine being this big on a boat, only 10 years old, and looking up and seeing this colossal looking statue? She represents freedom, hope, and not knowing what's on the other side of the statue. So I just love this. Hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at me for using that. So for this one, it is a visual one. So this might be a little harder and a little more challenging, but you are going to research the journey of your family as they were coming over here at whatever time period it was. It could be 20 years ago, it could have been 100 years ago, it could have been 300 years ago, it could have been 400 years ago. They could have been indigenous, they've been here the entire time, and I would love to read that because their challenge is going to be the opposite. It's going to be like, we didn't have challenges getting here, we had challenges when you got here. So bring us your creativity and let us know what you have, and we will just be so excited to see what you guys have. Again, if you're struggling with how to move forward with this, we could talk it out together, so make sure you send me a message and I'll help you get through it. So have fun exploring your past.